Welcome back to A24 Quest. As of right now, we're 2 episodes behind.
You know,
but that won't be relevant when this episode comes out.
Cool.
But I'm playing catch up with the editing and whatnot.
You know, we've done this show so much that it just feels like we're beating a dead horse at this point. You know, we come in,
agree.
We sit down, we start talking about movies, and like, I don't know, is it played out?
Yeah, no, we've lost our energy. I mean, we used to just turn the record button on, and then we were just horsing around, being friends on camera.
So you say yay, I say nay.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think we're still pretty fresh.
All right.
So Gloria Bell, huh?
Yeah, but enough about Gloria Bell. Enough about Lean on Pete. And certainly enough about. So Gloria Bell.
You were kind of right.
What did I say?
Oh,
what was I right about?
Last week when you said this movie is for like middle-aged women that just like to sit around and drink wine.
Yes. Yeah. No. That's what it is.
But
only I was wrong on one count. It's not wine. It's dirty martinis.
And wine.
That's what. Does she drink wine too?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of wine.
Okay,
in there
fair. I caught her a couple times with a martini with a little olive in it.
Yeah, she also had that.
So
so you're not wrong, but you're also like not entirely right. Like this movie actually held my attention throughout almost the whole thing.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Like unequivocally, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I had a good time.
Okay. So, there are kind of different breeds of A24 Quest movies. The ones we like are the ones that are for weirdos, like your Killing of a Sacred Deer and your Swiss Army Man and that kind of thing, and your Death of Dick Long, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then there are A24 movies that are for normal people. And as in you could recommend this to any old family member and they'd probably enjoy it.
Yeah, it'd probably be fine.
And most of those are just so boring to me because like who wants to be a normal person, right?
It's not worth the effort.
And like so like even the ones that have been like fairly competent I've given relatively low scores to because it just doesn't appeal to me. But Gloria Bell, I think it's the best we've seen. I think it's the best mainstream, normal A24 Quest movie so far.
Okay, so...
And when I say for normal people, what I mean is there's no aliens.
Yeah, okay. You're right. It's definitely for normal people in quotations. But like at the same time, this isn't anywhere near what you would... This isn't like a hit. No. Like, you know, this isn't a movie anybody knows about for the most part, and it's not anything that most people would recognize when you say the name.
Right.
So, as of right now, what do you think is the most well-known A24 movie out there?
There's an argument to be made for Moonlight, but I don't think it is. I mean, Moonlight won Best Picture, but that doesn't necessarily mean most well-known. Yeah. I think most well-known at this point is probably Midsommar.
Yeah, it might be.
Or maybe... I'm just trying to think of like really big A24 movies.
I know The Green Knight has been getting a lot of publicity.
Yeah, but that's not going to be a mainstream one. People are talking about it right now, but nobody will remember it like 1 week after it comes out, you know. It's only the people that like genuinely want to see it.
Yep, I agree.
That'll remember it.
Yeah, I mean, I think their horror genre is what's really driving them as far as notoriety.
Yeah, I mean, they got The Lighthouse, they got The Witch, they got Hereditary, Midsommar, they got The Monster, the most underrated A24 film. Oh god, that movie sucks.
Yeah, dude.
They got Black Coat's Daughter. They're doing well on the horror front.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely for normal people, but it's not a mainstream hit. And there's a good reason for that.
You know what? I think when I was watching this, I was thinking it would pair pretty well with The Souvenir. because it too is less about dramatic cinematic storytelling. It's more it's another fly on the wall movie. Feel pretty naturalistic, and they just happen, and you just feel like you just happen to be like a bystander observer, you know.
Yep.
It's not a very engaging movie. Only I liked Gloria Bell quite a bit more than The Souvenir, which I never would have thought I would say. Like, that's shocking to me. But it's a little more accessible. It's like So yeah, Gloria Bell and The Souvenir would pair pretty well together, as would Lean on Pete and The Death of Dick Long. So I think we probably
we're not there yet.
Okay, all right. We'll
wait.
We're
not there yet.
So we should have just swapped these. Would have made for a far more entertaining series of movies.
Did we know?
Yeah.
Gloria Bell, as far as like the competency of the filmmaking, was for the most part pretty good.
Yeah.
I think the highest marks it gets is like there's a lot of like subtle cinematography that most people probably aren't even gonna care about unless you like really cared about filmmaking.
Yes, the cinematography is very subdued and it's not very flashy.
No, not flashy at all, but it goes pretty hard on like your basics as far as what you kind of want to do as far as cinematography within making films.
Right.
Meanwhile, the soundtrack was forgettable.
I'm gonna disagree with you there. I liked the soundtrack.
Okay.
Because the soundtrack was very, very simplistic. I liked. Well, there was a couple score moments in the movie where it's just electronic keyboard. It's like synth, and the opening of the movie, I was like, this is like this nice synth soundtrack. I kind of liked it. And then there's this really neat moment later on in the movie. I liked the way the soundtrack played with diegetic and non-diegetic music. There's two moments that stood out to me. There's a moment where the soundtrack starts up again, and you're like, okay, this is just your kind of electronic keyboard synthy music, and then the camera pans over and you realize that Michael Cera is playing the music. So it's diegetic. Wait, what's the difference? Is diegetic real in the context and non-diegetic a soundtrack?
Something like that, yeah.
I'm just going to pretend that's right. If I'm wrong, email us at Purple Panda Podcast, whatever it was.
Sure.
As if we even check that anymore. I'm going to pretend that that's right, and if it's wrong, I apologize. But this you assume it's diegetic and then non-diegetic, and then it turns diegetic.
Yeah, that's nice.
And I was like, that was a neat touch with the soundtrack. And then the reverse happens. There's a sequence where Gloria is continually getting calls from the guy, and it's just like this constant ringtone that she's just ignoring. And then the ringtone being diegetic, when it moves into the next scene, the ringtone becomes non-diegetic music score for the next scene. When her phone is not ringing, but you still hear the ringtone.
Yeah,
that's thumbs up for me. I think it was a neat little touch.
Now, would you consider that soundtrack, or would you consider that sound design?
It's sound editing and sound design.
Because I like that
the sound,
a lot more than I care about the soundtrack.
I liked that, and I liked the soundtrack itself. I mean, you're right. It's pretty basic and pretty forgettable, but I just like the tone it gave the movie. That's all I'll say about it.
I get you.
We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. What is this movie about?
It doesn't matter.
I guess it doesn't, really.
Not really.
Gloria Bell is
It's about Gloria Bell.
It is a couple days, like to almost a week in the life of Gloria Bell.
Yeah.
You see what goes on in her life. It's very slice of life. It's very fly in the wall. And
she's trying to get back in the dating pool, and it kind of...
She has a bit of an arc.
Yeah.
And at the end of the movie, it's like the conclusion is satisfying. At least to me, it is.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah, and it's...
she's working through stuff,
It's really nice.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie. And really, honestly, I just said big old recommend. If you like movies about... You say, like, coming-of-age movies. This is a coming-of-middle-age movie.
That's a good way of putting it, yeah.
Yeah. If you like movies about that kind of thing, it's great.
Yeah, I'd give it a good recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the writing was pretty good. The acting throughout was really good. I really liked the acting for the most part. I think
Julianne Moore.
No,
John Turturro.
Yes,
he was good.
He was really good.
I mean, he's always good.
He is always really.
I
good.
liked his character because his character is not as cut and dry as you'd assume.
Yeah, I mean, there's complex characters.
Yeah, there's depth. He's not just like an asshole. He's damaged.
Yeah,
everybody in this movie is kind of damaged to a degree.
That's what makes the acting so good. Is that everybody is actually a person rather than just like a one-note character.
Mm-hmm.
The only person that I can think that doesn't really have any depth, and that's just because the lack of screen time, was probably Michael Cera.
Yeah. I was gonna say, when you were saying every character has depth, I was gonna say, but what about Michael Cera though? I mean, he's got maybe 3 or 4 lines, and he delivers every one of them as Michael Cera. So.
Yeah, and they're all the same thing basically. Like, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
Drops
no.
one of the few F-bombs in the movie, which I wasn't expecting from Michael Cera. My favorite line of his is just like in this really tense scene where the daughter has revealed she's moving to Sweden, and the dad, played by that guy,
Everybody Loves
from
Raymond's
Everybody
brother.
Loves Raymond. Yeah, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen him in forever.
I know,
but the daughter just revealed she's moving to Sweden, and it's just this really tense scene, and Michael Cera is like clearly drunk. He was like, who wouldn't want to go to fucking Sweden? It's like, great. Yep, I'm glad Michael Cera is here.
He's right.
And contributing to the scene.
He's right though. Like, Sweden looks pretty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was good. I had a good time. I felt real, which is always what, not always what I want from movies, I guess, but like, it's what I wanted from this movie for sure.
Good movie, man. Like it's not, again, it's not really my kind of thing. Like, if I had my way, it would be some sort of like Cthulhu mythos type story.
Oh yeah. Like, this would end up turning into like some horror Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas or something.
Right. Like, she would go on a hallucinogenic trip through the Las Vegas desert.
Yeah, then her drink would have been spiked at the club or something.
Yeah, but so because of that, it's not really my kind of movie, but if you're a normal person, you would enjoy it. Even if you're not, if you just appreciate good filmmaking and like good acting, it's good.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yep. And that's all we did, so
so yeah, I hope you liked this episode. I so desperately want to talk about the death of Dick Long, and yet we can't talk much about it.
There's nothing to say.
Well, there's a lot to say.
There's nothing that we can say.
There's a lot to say about it. Okay, the death of Dick Long is, spoiler alert, it's my winner this episode. I would hazard a guess to say it's yours too. I think we both kind of loved this film.
Love is such a...
It's an interesting word.
Strong choice of word.
Yeah, right, yeah.
There's a lot of things I love. Do I love this movie and its contents? Love is not the term I would use, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. So, Death of Dick Long is directed by an absolute weirdo who is one of the 2 people that directed Swiss Army Man.
The white guy that looks like he's like doing an 80s photo shoot with his cat.
Yeah. He's just a grade A, just like weirdo sex pervert guy. Sorry, I take that back. My lawyers are telling me I have to say I'm joking, but he's just this really weird guy. He directs these strange movies, and Swiss Army Man was... Okay, where do we start? How do we start with this?
I want to start with what IMDb says about this movie in the description, because it was kind of my introduction to it, just because I wanted to have that pulled up in the background so I could look at it afterwards. But the description is like 1 sentence long, and I don't have it pulled up because my internet doesn't work here.
I would tell you it's more or less 2 friends have to cover up the death of a friend of theirs.
Yeah.
That died while partying with them.
Yeah. Basically, that's what it says.
So these people are okay. So this movie's set in Alabama, and I just want to say, me and Josh grew up in lots of rednecks.
Oh yeah,
near where we are. I grew up in a trailer park.
Oh yeah.
All right. So we understand. We know what we're talking about when we say that this movie's portrayal of like white trash small town life is spot on.
Oh yeah, I mean it couldn't be any closer to the truth.
Yes. No, it is the realist portrayal.
Like the first thing I think I said when we watched it was something along the lines of like, I know these people in real life.
Yeah, they're hanging out at Brewster's right now. Yeah, we have two bars in our town. One's called Brewster's, and the other's called
bars.
We got way more than 2 bars, but we have 2 right across the street from each other. One's called Brewster's, and one's called Chuggers. All right, so that tells you like what we're dealing with here. Okay, and when I say this movie is like the realest white trash movie ever made, and I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm saying that as if you grew up in this environment, you're gonna get a lot of laughs out of these people because it's like you've known people like this.
Most definitely. Like I went to college with people that would just like walk around and vape constantly, and they were like, "Yeah, tight, bro."
Yeah.
It's like
the guy in the movie, his name's Earl, is like just my favorite character.
He reminds me
because he's just a waste of skin. He's just a useless person, but he is like the embodiment of what I think Abe would love as far as humor. Yeah. He's that weird mix between like kind of small farm town, like lives in a trailer, and also like surfer dude.
Yeah, it's a really weird mix.
Yeah.
It's like Vegas is what I would call it.
He's just clueless. I mean, he can get through life, but he's just like he doesn't care about anything. He's just completely apathetic, like, the whole way through, and I just love him.
And doesn't want to deal with anything.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that sucks.
Yeah. And he's just dumb.
Yep, he's just
like,
dumb.
really dumb.
Anyway, so, yeah, that's what the movie's about. Yeah. 2 guys try to cover up the crime.
Yeah, they're in a band. The movie opens with "It's Been a While" by Stained. And I'm gonna spoil that. I'm not gonna spoil what the movie ends with, but just know it's just as beautiful. And if you know anything about me and Josh, you know that a movie opening with "It's Been a While" by Stained puts it at like at least 7 stars minimum.
Oh yeah.
Like no matter the contents of the movie, it could literally just be a slow motion video of a dog shitting for an hour and a half, and it would still be at least 7 stars because it opened with "It's Been a While" by Stained. So wow. Okay. Opens with them in their garage playing their instruments poorly. And just doing sort of a kind of a clumsy rendition of "It's Been a While" by Stained. And they're just like these like 30-something dudes tattooed, you know, like,
drinking beer,
drinking natty
drinking that natty light,
yeah. Bro. And they go, and then the drummer, he says, "You guys want to get weird?"
Yeah, they send the wife and kid to bed. And you want to get weird?
And they take a lot of drugs, and then they go out, and then the next we see, they're hurriedly taking the drummer to the emergency room because he's all bloodied up and dying, and they just drop him off right outside the emergency room and leave. And that sets about this, like, okay, that's interesting. Like, what's going on? Why did they do that?
Mm-hmm.
And he dies right out there on the pavement, as we learn.
And that was the death of Dick Long.
That was the death of Dick Long. That was the titular Dick Long. And this happens in the first, like, 5 minutes of the movie. And then the rest of the movie is them trying to cover up the death of their friend. And we get tidbits of information here and there. And it is a comedy. I'll say that right out.
It's a black comedy.
It's a black comedy. It's very morbid, dark. Obviously, but it is a comedy.
You know, I'm going to stop you right there, all right? Now, up to this point, you might be thinking to yourself, okay, this sounds pretty interesting. This sounds pretty fun. This might be up my lane. And to that, I have to say, I don't think it is up your lane, all right? Now, listen.
Okay. You know, we just okay, me and Josh actually...
We're not doing spoilers to the extreme.
We watched this movie together, so we had a chance to talk about it a little bit, which we usually don't do for these, but in this case I think it was warranted.
Mm-hmm.
because we have to discuss our plan of attack.
Which is fair for this movie.
We're not going to spoil it.
No, we're not going to tell you what. Look it up before you watch it.
There are things that happen in this movie. You're going to see some. You're not going to see. There are things that are going to happen in this movie,
and they're upsetting.
Upsetting in the most sickly comedic way possible.
Yes. Do you like laughing at the most messed up shit?
Yeah, exactly. That's this movie.
This
really.
movie's for you then. Yeah. However,
because it takes a turn.
However, would I show this to my dad, who also would enjoy a movie if I described it as we have to him? No, I wouldn't, because this movie goes places that I just don't think most people can handle.
Yeah.
However, we had a blast.
Oh, for sure. I was laughing very hard all the way throughout. I mean, there was a little lull when it hit the point where it was getting so upsetting that, like, even I was struggling to find, like, humor in it. But then it got funny again after that.
Most definitely. I mean, there was a point where I just started screaming for a while.
Yeah.
Because, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? Yeah, it's upsetting.
How do you deal with...
How do you deal with this movie?
It does have... It's like the Hereditary of horror movies in the sense that it's at a certain point, a thing happens. It takes a turn.
Yep.
That the whole thing about it is it's inconceivable. Like, how do you even process what you're seeing? Or what you're
Where do we go
about?
From there?
Yeah, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Like... Hereditary did it, but it was horrifying in Hereditary. This did it, and it was... I'm ashamed to say how much I laughed at it.
Also horrifying. Gonna say.
Horrifying,
in a very different way.
In a very different kind of way. Yeah. So... But anyway, like that, I mean, that kind of informs the rest of the movie. There's a turning point, and then the rest of the movie is very different, but... Even leading up to that, it's very worthwhile. I was enjoying it a lot.
Absolutely.
Leading up to the turning point.
Yeah, it was fun.
And after the turning point, I was still enjoying it, albeit in a very different way.
Yep.
I was still laughing, albeit in a different context.
Yeah. Most definitely.
It's like it turns to nervous point.
Most definitely.
But very hilarious, very I was very gripping. We had this problem where me and Josh share Amazon Prime account for these movies.
Oh, don't tell them. They're going to shut us down.
Oh, right. Well,
no, I'm kidding.
Who doesn't do
I'm
that,
kidding.
You know? But the problem with that is we can't watch the same movie at once. So when we watched this movie together online, he had to find it on Tubi. Mm-hmm. Which meant that he had ads every like 15 minutes or so.
Yep.
And you could tell how gripping this movie was, that every time you had an ad, both of us were just like, ah.
Yeah, I mean, we both just like started going, oh my god, I can't believe what's happening.
Yeah, and we're like, oh god, I just want to keep watching.
Yeah.
I was just glued to the screen
and
the whole way.
That's another good thing for all you people out there. You can watch this for free on Tubi.
Yeah.
Tubi, and you can also watch it for free on Vudu, V-U-D-U, and you can rent it for a couple bucks on Amazon Prime Video as well.
Yep.
So it's super accessible as of right now if you don't mind ads.
Oh,
or
and
just a little bit.
Gloria Bell is included on Amazon Prime, so if you got Prime, you should watch Gloria Bell, no ads.
Most definitely.
So go for it.
Now we can't say a whole lot more, but one thing I want to make sure. Like, if you watch this, if you see this all the way through to the end, and you get done with it, I want you to contact us. I want to talk to you.
If you're watching this, odds are you're probably on me and Josh's Discord.
You're probably...
or like one of our Discords, right? You probably know us to some capacity. I want you to call either of us. Or
call us up, send us a message. Get on the Movie Club Discord. Shout out to r/Movie Club.
Shout out to r/Horror Movie Club, which we're now also both a part of.
Get at us, because I need to talk to more people that know about this movie.
It's like therapy. We need to like talk through this with people that know.
I'm not kidding. I went to work the next day and I needed to tell somebody. So I was working with another 20-some-year-old guy, and I just like told him the entire plot of this movie and how it plays out, with spoilers included, because he's never gonna see this movie and I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I just
and did he just like look at you like you were crazy?
Absolutely, yeah. He thought I was I was really into some weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just need to talk to somebody who understands it more.
Right. I mean, if you're a fan of movies if you're just a fan of movies that are like, they're not gonna, the sickening thing about the twist, and I'm not like beating around the book. The sickening thing about the twist is you can kind of see it coming.
Oh, most definitely.
There's like a couple scenes before it happened where like,
there's like a slow burn lead up to
like,
it.
Hold on a second. I think I might know what's going on here, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing. Every time I would say something like, "Is this what happened?" Really? Yeah. I would say it jokingly, but then it actually happened.
And it was somehow way worse than you could have expected.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
So
it was awful. I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, if this has convinced you to watch the movie, just know, A, we warned you.
And B,
let us know.
Contact me. Call me. I want to chat. Mm-hmm. I want to know what drove you to this point in your life. Because, I mean, it's something else, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Just a shout out, if you do like Swiss Army Man, this movie is very different.
Yes.
But it's still in that very dark comedic vein of film.
Here's the thing. Swiss Army Man, I was just telling Josh about this. It's an interesting way to look at it, is Swiss Army Man is the complete inverse of this movie. The problem with Swiss Army Man is what Swiss Army Man actually is as a movie is a pretty wholesome thing. It's a wholesome movie about self-discovery and making friends. It's a really uplifting, heartwarming movie. The problem is, though, you're like, I just saw this movie. Oh, what's it about?
Listen, there's a dead body, all right?
Okay, it's a dead body.
And Paul Dano needs to get home.
So what he does is he rides the corpse's farts across the ocean. And then the corpse starts talking to Paul Dano, and he has a boner, and the boner like points the way to where he needs to go.
And the dead body is like a Swiss Army man, kind of like a Swiss Army tool.
Yeah, he can spew fresh drinkable water from his mouth.
He can chop wood with his karate action arm.
And the movie has lots of sentimental talks about whether you should or should not fart in front of loved ones.
And be accepted as you are.
So, that's the problem with Swiss Army Man. It is genuinely a really funny and a really heartwarming movie, but you can't recommend it to people because they're inevitably going to ask, what is it about? And there's no getting around, there's no skirting around what it's about.
Yep. I usually so I've had to kind of talk about this movie, and I usually just go with, all right, it's Danny Radcliffe and Paul Dano uses the body of the dead Danny Radcliffe to try to get home, and it acts kind of as a partner to get him back to where he needs to be.
Right, like even that is probably too off-putting for most people because they're like, why is Harry Potter dead?
That's okay.
And what's he doing with his dead body, you know?
Listen, if that turns you off, you're not going to enjoy the movie anyway, so it doesn't matter.
But here's the thing with Swiss Army Man versus this movie. This movie has the exact opposite problem.
Yep.
You explain the concept of this movie without giving away the twist. And they'll be like, wow, that sounds really interesting. That sounds like a Coen Brothers-esque, fun little dark, crime comedy. That sounds really good. And then they're going to be horrified.
Yeah, they're going to be sitting down, and about 40 minutes in, they're going to start looking at you like you need to die.
Yeah, they're like, what have you gotten me into?
They think you need professional help all of a sudden, and all you want to do is laugh about a thing that's happening.
Right.
So that's the difference between the movies.
Yeah. So if you like Swiss Army Man, this is quite a bit different, but you'll probably get a kick out of it. Because if you like Swiss Army Man, it's fair to say you got a fairly twisted sense of humor.
And an open mind when it comes to film.
Yes, exactly.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can say much more.
No, I don't think so. I'm just going to leave it at, recommended.
Oh, the soundtrack is 10 out of 10.
Oh,
through and through.
Yes.
Like, oh my god.
The actual, score stuff is pretty, cheesy and
not
forgettable.
what I'm talking about.
But the actual, the licensed music in it...
Like, you couldn't
100%.
get a better 90s new metal rock playlist. It's just, it's pretty top tier.
Yeah. I mean, great performances by all the characters. Like I said, it just knew the truth of the characters that they're portraying. And, and what's more, it's based on a true story. So we'll leave it at that. We'll let you watch it. And...
that's it. I mean,
Death
of Dick Long wins. Gloria Bell, it was a good try.
Yeah, no.
You would have won last week, but not this week.
I do not want to sweep Gloria Bell under the rug because it was a fantastic movie. I liked it a lot more than I was expecting to, and I would watch more from that director, probably. I thought it was good.
I don't even know who directed it. I didn't look very long at it.
It's a Chilean man. This is a remake of a foreign film.
Oh, okay.
Called Gloria, and he directed the original, and he also directed this remake.
Weird.
That's happened a couple of times.
That's very weird. Cool, but weird.
Mikel Haneke.
Are you okay, Colin?
What's his name? Mikel Haneke or Haneke. Whatever. You know who I'm saying.
Hennessy?
Whoever's watching,
Miguel Hennessy.
He directed Funny Games, and then Funny Games got an American remake, and he directed that too. So it happens every once in a while.
Got it.
That's neat. That's the only fun fact I have about the movie.
I mean, that's super neat that he was able to do the remake of it.
And man, he did a good job. From the direction of this movie, I kind of assumed that it being a remake of a foreign movie, they just got Joe Schmo whatever Hollywood director to do it. But the fact that the original guy did it, I was like, man, he's got a really resilient style. Well, that it works so well.
Most definitely. Well, and I think that helps preserve what makes the movie good to begin with.
Yeah. Because
it's you're not getting in somebody else's ideas and their vision of the movie. You're getting the original creators.
Yes, exactly.
So
he's like, if there's going to be an American remake of this, I'm going to do it my way. Yeah. And I respect that.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Okay. That about does it for this episode. Obviously, Death of Dick Long is the winner.
Well, you don't know that yet. It's obvious once you've seen it.
Yeah. It's something special. It's gonna stick in my memory much more so than most of these A24 movies I see. And I'm probably gonna rewatch it. I want to show it to a group of friends. I want to show it to Abe. I want to show it to people.
Too. Yeah, I can't wait for Jacob to see this.
God. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
He's gonna tell it. He's gonna talk about it with all of his friends. It's gonna be great.
You should have showed it to him back when he was in high school, so he could have get suspelled.
Suspelled,
suspended,
expelled,
expelled, whatever. Combination of the two.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yes. Next week is gonna be. It's actually our first ever. I like to call it our family friendly fun fest. We're doing a good old double feature of Hereditary and Midsommar.
Oh.
Now, I believe we have talked about Midsommar. I hate pronouncing the name of the movie, because technically it's Midsommar.
I know it is.
But you want to say Midsummer.
You do.
And I've fallen into, the worst option, and that is, I call it Midsommar. Which doesn't sound good, and it's not right either way. I should just commit to one. So I'm going to call it Midsommar because I'm American.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I believe we have talked about Midsommar on the podcast. I believe we have talked about Hereditary on the podcast, but it's been so long, I don't even remember what we said about them. And it would be fun to put the two of them in the context of an A24 movie. So
yeah, we're doing a hot Ari Aster filmography.
Yeah,
we're doing it. We're doing it all.
The family friendly fun blast, first annual
family friendly fun blast.
Yes. Looking forward to it, and I'm finally going to see the Midsommar director's cut. I've never seen it before.
It's very exciting.
So that's good. That is exciting.
I've watched both these movies too many times. already.
Given that, you know what? I'm going to talk to you about this when we're done recording, because I think I already have the plan for the next week, but we'll talk about it later. Cool. All right. So next week, spoiler alert, we've seen both movies and we've already talked about them extensively and
enjoy them thoroughly.
We love them both. So that good old will they like it, will they hate it is kind of absent.
Do you think there are people out there who they're like, I don't know if they're gonna like these ones?
Probably not.
Probably not.
This is a very low key show, and even the people that watch it probably aren't too invested in our opinions. I would imagine.
Probably.
So they just want to hear people talk about weird stuff. Probably,
which is fair. Colin.
Yes.
I don't feel right about leaving Dick Long like this. I don't feel good about it.
No. Hey.
Listen.
We promised we weren't going to talk about it.
I'm not going to talk about it in this episode, but I think we might have to come back and do like a spoiler update.
Tell you what, if even one person on the Discord says they want that,
yes,
then we'll do it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, if even one person listening to this pings us on Discord and is like, hey, can you talk about the spoilers, then we'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
my problem is there's probably not a whole lot to talk about once you break the spoiler. Like you just say what happened and why it's upsetting.
Well,
and
that's why it's only a spoiler update and our thoughts and opinions on everything.
Yeah, because there is a lot to talk about. I guess I take back my previous statement, because there's actually a fair amount I would like to talk about in terms of the spoiler, how it's implemented. But okay, whatever.
So hit us up if you would like that. If not,
cool.
That's fine too.
Yeah, fair enough.
And dear God, please tell me if you watched this movie. If you watched Death of Dick Long, please tell me.
Yep.
That's it.
Next week, Ari Aster, family friendly. Dick Long wins it by a long shot.
Dick Long wings it.
Yeah. And I hope you had a good day.
I hope you had a wonderful evening.
Stay safe. Don't get COVID.
Don't do too many drugs.
The channel just got demonetized.
Oh yeah, you said the word.
We're actually not even monetized to begin with, but they still demonetized us.
They still contact you and be like, oh, that's it.
Listen, we opened up an ad account for you and then we closed it.
We monetized you and then demonetized it. Cool.
Just to demonetize it because you mentioned you happened to mention the biggest the biggest loss of human life in recent memory. You just happen to mention it by name. What is even? It's not like everybody already knows about COVID. It's not like everybody's talking about COVID all the time, right? Everybody knows what COVID is. Everybody's talking about it all the time.
Yeah.
It's an important issue.
Yep. I don't know, man.
YouTube can suck it.
Suck it, YouTube.
Yeah. All right. And with that, thank you YouTube for letting us host our videos here, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah, we'll be back.
We'll be back on Vimeo.
Oh boy. Good God.
So stay tuned for that. Good night.